Welcome back to all of you amazing artists out there. It's your art teacher, Mr. Guera, and I'm back again to teach you how to create this amazing dragon puppet. And paired with this work of art is Buzu trading card number 3, TARRAGON Flare. This hard-to-find dragon is super protective of its inferno forest, so it gets the behavior classification. And since it can turn any one of its scales to gold with a simple touch, it gets the extrasensory classification.
Today's Buzu trading card is made possible by the generous support of our friends and backers over at patreon.com/BuzuCards. Here, our Buzu Bunch will find access to our blog, behind-the-scenes updates, digital downloads, original artwork by Mr. Guera, and even gain access to our vault, inside which you'll discover Buzu cards you won't find anywhere else.
For this project, you're going to need a box, something on the smallish side. After that, I would highly suggest you get a bowl, because if you're using a box that's brand new, you're going to need something to put the contents in. Also, some painter's tape. I'm using the blue kind, tears off easy. A pair of scissors. Also, chipboard. This one is going to come from a frozen pizza box, and it suits my needs just fine. Next, you're also going to need acrylic paint. Now for this project, I end up using white, black, green, and red paint. You're also going to need a paintbrush, medium-sized. Now to protect my surface, I'm going to use this old newspaper. The Sunday Funnies work best for me, of course, but get anything that you have, a sheet of paper, scrap, to cover up and protect your surfaces. You're also going to need some streamers. For this project, I'm going to specifically use red, yellow, orange, and green. I'm going to suggest at least 4 colors, but if you only have one is going to work just fine. You're also going to need a ruler, as well as a bottle of glue. We're definitely going to need a container with some water and a paper towel so that we can dry up our brush whenever it gets wet. A Sharpie marker is also going to come in handy. A utility knife, I highly suggest that you get an adult to help you with this part, and a styrofoam ball. Once you have all of these supplies, you're ready to go. Now, you may notice that you don't necessarily need every single one of these supplies, but for the project that I put together during this video, I did end up using all of this stuff. Feel free to leave out anything that you don't feel is absolutely necessary for your project. You can find Amazon links for all of these art supplies in the description below. Let's start off with the box you'll be using. I suggest using a box that is a little smaller than a standard cereal box. As you can see here, this one has lemon wafers inside, which is one of my favorite snacks. Gently open the box and, if you haven't already, remove the contents and place it into another container. Close the box back up as best you can, and just to make sure it won't fall apart, let's seal the open side closed with painter's tape. Tear a piece off that's just a little longer than the edge of the box and carefully place it on top of the area that you just opened. Because we're going to be painting over this painter's tape later on, smooth it out to make sure it stays in place. Now that the box is secure, it's time to grab your scissors and cut the box in half. This is to create your dragon's mouth. Using just the tip of your scissors, snip open the box at one of the edges to make an opening. Now, cut as straight of a line as you can, making sure also to cut the sides. Just be certain that one of the sides of your box is left uncut. Once you've got the box open, be sure to pinch a sharp crease with your fingers. You can already see here how your dragon puppet is constructed. By placing your thumb into one opening and your other fingers into the other opening, you can open and shut your puppet's mouth. It's now time to place down something to cover the surface that we'll be working on. Make sure to place something down since we are going to do a bit of painting for this one. I'll be using a piece of chipboard as my paint palette, starting with a healthy dab of white acrylic paint. We'll be coating the outside of the box, so be sure to use one hand holding your paintbrush and the other holding your box using the grip we just talked about. Now, if you're thinking, but Mr. Guera, I don't want my dragon to be white. I understand completely because I'm not wanting mine to be white either, at least not this time. The reason why we're coating our box with white acrylic paint is to cover the printed graphics on the outside. This is called priming. Now, I don't really want people thinking about lemon wafers when they see my dragon, so this step is to cover up all of that so we can next use the color we actually want. Once you're done painting all of the sides of the box, place it aside. While we're letting the paint dry, let's get to work on the streamers. For this example, I'll be using 4 different colors, but you should feel free to use more or less depending on the look you're going for or whatever you might have available to you. I'd like all of my streamers to be about the same length, so I'm going to use this ruler to visually measure out 5 of each color. For now, I'll place these aside because we definitely have to attach them later on. Just a reminder, these streamers will be glued onto the back of the cardboard box that we just primed. So we want them all to be about the same length in order to create a better sense of movement for your puppet. Did you know that this art project was inspired by the Chinese New Year Dragon Dance, which is a dance performed by talented acrobatic puppeteers? These larger-than-life dragons are frequently decorated in careful detail and are masterful works of art in their own right. Seeing them move about and perform their dance is quite exciting and a time-honored tradition. For many, many years, the Chinese have believed that the dragon dance warded off evil spirits and brought good luck and blessings for the community. Now that your primer coat of white acrylic paint is nice and dry, pick your puppet up to figure out which parts of the box are the inside of the dragon's mouth. Lay the box down flat onto your mess mat with the mouth facing up and get out your palette. I'm going to use the same piece of chipboard from before as my palette, where I will squeeze out a small blob of red paint. All right, double check that the side you're about to paint is the dragon's mouth, roll up your sleeves, and grab a paintbrush. Use evenly applied brush strokes and go from side to side covering these 2 areas. I am now placing the video in fast forward speed. As always, take your time to do a great job. Pause the video if need be, and then, of course, hit play when you're ready to continue. Make sure that you're doing as thorough and complete a job as possible to make your dragon puppet the best it can be.
Dive into the Buzu Wonderland with exclusive merch like original art, binders, stickers, bookmarks, and a whole bunch more. Get ready to supercharge your Buzu collection with the latest and greatest at buzushop.com.
Once you are done laying down a nice thick coat, get out your container of water and clean your paintbrush by dragging the bristles across the bottom. Then, take a piece of paper towel and gently pinch the bristles dry. Don't forget to dump out the dirty water and rinse your container clean. Let's set aside your painted box, and while it dries, turn our attention to creating the dragon's eyes. For this part, I ask all of my amazing artists to get an adult to help you, because now we need to use a utility knife to carefully cut a styrofoam ball in half. Styrofoam is easy to cut into, so with the utmost care, place the utility knife's blade into the ball and work your way around the outside until your cut comes back to where you started. If there are any extra small pieces, go ahead and pick them off. Next, get out a black marker and apply the pupils to the dragon's eyes. Depending on the styrofoam ball you are using, you may also want to try using black acrylic paint instead of marker. For this reason, I will first apply thin reptilian pupils to my puppet's eyes, and later I'll use black paint to make more circular eyes. As always, I encourage you to get creative and create the pupils that you think will look best. Once you are done, place your styrofoam eyes to the side because it's time for another fun fact. Now, there are so many fun facts about Chinese dragons that I'm going to have to limit myself to just a few. For instance, did you know that Chinese dragons are said to be able to take many, many different forms, both animal and human? And it is also believed that they are able to control the weather, especially rain and storms. And it's also said that Chinese emperors actually descended from these grand dragons, which is really cool. Now that the inside of the dragon puppet's mouth is dry, you can see how useful it is to have primed the box first. Nope, not a sign of the lemon wafer graphics anywhere to be seen. Now, let's paint the rest of our dragon with your color of choice. In this lesson, I'll be using green, of course, but I wonder what other colors or even patterns you awesome artists out there might choose. Polka dot dragon, anyone? Give yourself another dollop of paint. Get that clean paintbrush out and let's start painting every side of this box that's still white. Apply your acrylic paint generously with long, even brush strokes, back and forth, making sure to cover all areas. Don't forget that fitting your thumb and fingers into the box to hold your puppet as you paint is a great way to get all of the sides at one time. Once you're done, place the painted box down onto your mess mat and carefully clean your paintbrush in the water. We've done this before. Drag your brush along the bottom of your container as you did previously, and once you're done, use a paper towel to dry off the bristles. Get out a piece of chipboard and using a black marker, draw 2 ovals and 4 triangles. These are going to be your dragon's teeth and nostrils. Of course, if you would like to make more than 4 teeth, I say go for it, but be sure to hold them against your puppet first just to make sure there's room. If you like this time with me, get ready to love our live virtual classroom. It's an interactive and fun-filled experience where we create together in real time online. So no matter where you are, you can join in on the art-filled fun. Head on over to buzucards.com/events and secure your spot by signing up today. Once drawn, cut these shapes out with your scissors and place your mess mat down once again to protect your surface. I'm going to keep using my chipboard palette with the dried paint on it and squeeze out a little white acrylic. As always, feel free to choose a color other than white. And don't forget to give that paintbrush a good cleaning, after you've used it, of course, and dry it off with paper towel. Turning our attention now to the nostrils, let's color them in black. You can do this either with some black acrylic paint or, as I'm doing here, just use the marker. Once your dragon details have been colored, set them aside to dry. These dragons are called Long in Chinese mythology and have been part of their culture for thousands and thousands of years. And they don't seem to be losing any kind of popularity as they have turned up in TV shows and movies time and time and time again. Okay, now let's bring back all of those dragon details that we've been creating along the way, starting with the streamers, as well as your fully painted puppet. Get out your glue bottle and, with the open end of your box facing up, apply the glue in long rows along the side of the openings. Then, begin placing your streamers onto your glue one by one. If you have different colors, the order in which you apply them doesn't really matter, although it might be best to space the colors out a bit to create a visual variety. Once you've placed enough streamers to cover your glue, apply more glue on top and place another row. Follow this same process for all sides of the puppet until you have a nice, full, and flowing trail of color streaming from the back of your dragon.
Calling all teachers and homeschool heroes with students at home. Check out our Teachers Pay Teachers store, where we've curated a treasure trove of lesson plans, posters, clip art, slideshows, and more. Or better yet, head to patreon.com/buzucards, where for just $5 a month, you'll get exclusive access to everything in our TPT store.
Next, let's glue on the two halves of styrofoam that we've cut, placing them slightly toward the closed side of the box. Be sure to hold them firmly onto the box for at least a 10 count before moving on. This at least 10-second rule also applies not only to the oval nostrils, but also to each of your teeth. This is important because we certainly don't want these details to fall off. In an absolute worst case scenario, you can always get an adult to help you by using a hot glue gun to really make sure everything sticks on. When you're done with your glue bottle, twist the cap tightly back down and use a paper towel to wipe the tip clean so it doesn't get gunked up later. And there you have it. It's done. Your very own dragon puppet. Here in this example, you can see that I've used black paint, which I think in this case turned out looking just a little bit better for me and perhaps for you too. I hope that you had a really great time with this project. It is so awesome to see how these puppets move and the fact that the streamers flow from the back. I just love it. They're so cool. Well, I'm going to end this video, but this time I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory, so I will see you next time.
Definitely down with dragons? Do a deep dive with Mr. Guera Reads, Fergal and the Bad Temper. Link in the description below. For sure, Buzu trading cards are fun to collect, trade, and battle. But did you also know that when you scan the QR code on the back of a Buzu trading card, you get that card's art lesson ad-free? And not only that, you'll also receive free downloadables with every card.